Okay. Um, so, hello, guys. Hello and good evening, guys, and welcome to the video series. Welcome to the series of videos on of workshops for Solution Challenge. Today, we are going to see about today is the JavaScript workshop, and I am Shaktidaran Sridharan from DSC SASTRA, and it's great to be here, to be the host here. So, anyways, today's agenda is simple. We are just going to learn what is JavaScript, why JavaScript, and we are going to we are going to learn how to run JavaScript in our console or how to run JavaScript in computers. Then we are going to check basic data types, variables, and operators, and then we'll go ahead with loops and conditionals, the functions, things, and arrays, and objects. Yeah. So now let's start with what is JavaScript. First, uh, first, if you ask me what is JavaScript, the first option is actually it's kind of clear. It's not Java. JavaScript is different than Java. Actually, there's kind of a common misconception here. Uh, Many people confuse Java for JavaScript. Actually, JavaScript is another small scripting language. I'll tell you. I'll come to what scripting language means later. But Java is it was just a scripting language, and they added the name. The founders of JavaScript, they added the name Java to it to make it a market. It's just a marketing strategy here to like for everyone to use it. They added the name Java here because that time Java was really popular, and they want everyone to use this weird language called JavaScript, and hence they used and hence they added the name Java. So again, on a serious note, if we say what is JavaScript, again I'll say it's not Java, but it is a script. When I say it's a script, that means it need not be compiled. Like it is, what can I say? It's more of like run as you go, like run as you type kind of thing. And yeah, the thing is, this JavaScript is a kind of a scripting language. It's kind of similar to programming language here, and it's run by browsers, and it is reason for all the beautiful website animations that you see here, all those animations, those slidings, and actually it makes websites come alive. So to be heard, JavaScript is actually popularly used by developers nowadays. In olden days, JavaScript was used only for the client side. Like that means only the client side. That means what you see. But however, it was not used for servers. But nowadays, even JavaScript is also used for servers. Like we have this famous stack called MERN stack, where Mongo, Express, React, and Node.js. Where Node.js is this is JavaScript. So let's get the show on the road, shall we? Okay. Now we have these three magic commands here. I'll tell you how to run here. Now, for this, please take any web page. Take a simple HTML page here. I'm opening it. So yeah. Now here you could see a simple web page here. Now if you right click and if you give inspect, that's basically it's an inspect element. Now you could see a window popping up. Here you could see a cursor blinking here and there. So this is what we call as a JavaScript console. If you want a bigger version of it, go here. So for this in this JavaScript console, this is kind of like a magic genie. It yeah, our wish is it's command. So whatever we type, it'll evaluate something, and then it'll print out it'll give us a result. For example, if I type 3 plus 2, it'll give 5. If I give 3 minus 2, it'll give 1. If I give 5 plus 4, it'll also give 9. So again, 5 star, 5 star, 8, 8 star, 8, I'll get 64. Simple. So now this is what JavaScript was. This is actually called as a rip. This is called as a REPL, read, evaluate, print, loop. So it'll read an input from the user, it'll evaluate it, and then it'll print the output to user, and then it will do the same again. Again, that's what we call this as a loop. So now we saw three commands. One is alert, console.log, and prompt. Now let's start with the most boring, comparatively boring, but one of the really useful ones in this of the commands, console.log. So if we give console.log hello or hello there, you'll get whatever typed inside hello there. Whatever typed inside the console.log will be printed to you, as yes you can notice here. Ignore the undefined part for now, we'll come back to that later. Now yeah, this is again we can type anything else. Console.log, Amazon, Again, it just repeats back to you like a parrot. If you want to kick these things up a notch, then we can go ahead and type alert. Right? Yeah, alert, alert world. Now you will see this output in instant here. Here you could see magically a window pops up from a browser, and you might this window is actually famous for you might have seen this window a lot of times. So, so whatever you type in the strings here, that will be displayed here. Again, and type anything. Hello, or how are you? Again, it'll ask how are you. Simple. Now the next command we saw is prompt. Prompt. Prompt is kind of different here. If I ask prompt is more of a question related type. If I ask what is your name, what is your name, and then now if I give enter, then another window pops up. It'll ask what's your name, and I'll ask for an input from the user. So you can give anything here. For example, I'll say my name is Sheldon here from the Big Bang Theory, and if I give OK, and you get that value here. So these are the basic three kind of the trinity of basic functions, like one to display messages silently, one to display messages to alert the user, and one is to get input from the user. So these are the basic three inputs here. Yeah, and then we'll so these are the three basic here, and then we'll continue here. So now we'll talk about how to write this JavaScript. Generally, we'll talk about how to write JavaScript code as a what can I say in a HTML page. Exactly. So when we talk about writing JavaScript code in a HTML page, it kind of goes like this. Now here you can see one way to do is now we have this the HTML code for the example web page you saw there. Now type script and then type whatever code you want to have. Alert, alert by, and again, yeah, just give the closing tag. So now this is how we include a script as a part of a body. Just open a script tag and write whatever JavaScript you want to write, and then close it down. So again, now if you open this, I'm sorry, I forgot to save it. Okay, now if you open this, it says hi and then it says bye. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. The message comes again and again, but you get the point. So this so basically you write some JavaScript piece of code in a HTML page. This is one way. Another way is to just take another in another way is take HTML page like this. Ignore these stuff. Take HTML page like this. Here, create another file .js file, which is basically stands for JavaScript. Write whatever JavaScript code you want to write here, and then link it using the source attribute here. So script source equal to example1.js, the file name, and then hashtag script. So this also works similar. This also works in a similar way. I can show here. See here. Now this part of the code is from example1.js, as you can notice here. Yeah, exactly here. So this is another way to link it. But for now, for simplicity, we'll execute all of the code in the same HTML page itself. Like this is just another step. If you want to keep HTML code separate from JavaScript code, that's all. So we'll start with basic JavaScript parts of like JavaScript program here. First, we'll start with comments. Now again, like similar to C++, we have the double slash or single line comments, and the slash underscore this works as a multi-line comment. Now, but we actually know the purpose of the comments though. Like usually, we use comments to describe the program, but more often you like when you the more you code, you'll find yourself you'll find yourself like using you to use comments to temporarily remove part of codes and here and there and add it later. So now let's go to data types. Simple. Uh, Now there are actually four data types here. One is number, string, boolean, null, and undefined. Sorry, five. So we'll now there's something called objects, but we'll get back to that later. But up to now, they are when you say preview data types, these are the data types. Now to check which data type a number is. Like when check whether which data type, what can I say, check whether type data is, you have to type the type of operator, type of space, the data. So we'll do that now. Let me expand this for your convenience. Yeah. So uh, type of, type anything here. Like if I type of 3, it's a number. Type of hello, it's a string. Now, please note that type of 3 is a number, but type of single quote 3, like 3 in a single quotes, is a string. So, whatever you enclose in a single quote or double quote or backticks for that matter, for example, 52, is a string. So, whatever you enclose a single quote or double quote or backticks, it is treated as a string in JavaScript. So, um, So yeah, two is the number. Yeah. We also have this Boolean values, true and false, and we have two more. We have something called as null and something called as undefined. Again, we'll get back to that later. We'll get back to the undefined and null part later. But up to now, yeah, two this, I mean, integers and floating points are just treated as numbers. Hello, the strings, these are all strings, and true and false, these two values are counted as Boolean or bool to short. And now type of, now here please note that the double quotes true means like it's a string here, and then yeah, that's it. Now let's talk about variables here. Now there's some ways to name a variable. One second. Yeah. I mean, there are some ways to name a variable. One is var w is equal to 0. Now we use the var keyword, var keyword, var to like name a variable and display it. Again, to print its value, like we'll say w here. In this case, you'll get the output as 0. Now again here you can change the value to 1. Again, let's try another case. Now we can also use another keyword. We can use name a variable as let here. So if we ask let x is equal to 2, and if we say console.log x, then the value will be 2. Again, now here, like you can even change the value of the variable anytime. So x is equal to sunshine. Like if now it's a string now, so now it prints sunshine. Now again here, here we can also do one more thing. We can, if we can this is let, and this here we can declare a variable first and then use it later. Now here I'll answer the question of undefined. What is undefined exactly? One second. Yeah. Now if I declare a variable let x, now if I get the value, if I and has the value of x, it gives me undefined. That means there's nothing has been assigned yet. So undefined means nothing or not assigned anything. And now if I assign a value here, x is equal to 5 now, and if I ask for the value of x now, it's giving me 5. So that's what undefined is. Undefined means nothingness in the, okay. But you might ask, what about null? Null is also nothing, but here when you say null is something that's explicitly specified. Like you explicitly specify, there's actually absolutely nothing in there. But in the case of undefined, it's just like it's how the name is. Like you don't specify anything, and undefined is kind of a default or default data returned for anything that you don't declare or anything that's not present. So yeah. So again, that's how let y works. And next we are going, next keyword we are going to come for like const. Const is kind of like let, but the only problem is once if you initialize a value, you cannot change it. So here, if we give x is equal to 5, you will get an error. Again, let me illustrate this. Now const x is equal to 5 or x equal to 8. Sorry. Yeah, that's a syntax error because I already initialized let x. So const y is equal to 9. And if I can access the value of y here, but I can't change its value to 10 because it will ask uncaught type error assignment to constant variable. So JavaScript will throw an error silently. So that's one thing. Next, yeah. Now to add two numbers, this is a simple piece of code here. We are going to get an input, two inputs from user by, and we are going to store it in the variable. So enter number 1, you will get a number, and you'll get enter number 2. You'll store in two inputs, and then there's this method called parseInt which converts a string to integer. please keep in mind that the prompt method always, prompt function always call the prompt command always calls, returns a string, or always will give the output as a string, like the users and the input. We have to convert it to an integer in order to add it. So again, we are going to parse it, the parse it method, and then I'm going to store in two different variables and then add them and display them. Simple. Now, if you want to add two floating point numbers instead of like two integers, like replace these two methods with parse float. Okay, let me show. Let me execute that. 1 second. Yeah. So right. So yeah, I have the piece of code here. So to in order to save time. Now here I have written the part of code here, and then if I run here, you say hi. Okay, sorry. Again, once again, I did the same rookie mistake. I forgot to save. Now it asking enter number one. So if I say 15 and enter number two 25, it's saying 40. So that's how the basic piece of basic JavaScript works here. So that's one thing you get it here. Next, we'll go to operators. Okay. Now here you notice I use a plus symbol. So plus symbol means basically it adds two numbers, and it kind of puts the result in a place. It stores the result in variable C. Now when we talk about operators here, again operators allow you to perform operations on data. So we have arithmetic operators. So a plus b gives 5, a minus b gives -1, a star b gives 6, then b star a b bar a gives like b divided by a, and b modulo a will give the remainder. These are relational operator. Now here a equal to b is false because a is 2 and b is 3, and but a is not equal to b is true. So this will check for equality. This is the opposite of that. Now this less than and greater than operator, and 2 is less than 3 and 3 is greater than 2. 2 is not greater than 3. So the output is true and false respectively. And here the same goes here, but this value will be false. Yeah, a is less than or equal to b and b is greater than or equal to b. So this is true here. And then when we talk about here, you have to notice a small difference here. Now you might have heard of two equal to operators here, that but JavaScript provides another annoying operator. It's also good, but in a way it's kind of bone and a bean here. Double equal to means here you can see an integer and a string here. So if we give a double equal to c here, you will get the value as true, because even though this is a string data type, the JavaScript, the console or the engine will try to convert both of it into the same type, so that and evaluate them. So this would be converted into string, and so now when this is converted into string, then both values show true. So that's why it's true. But however, in this case, even the type is checked. So even though their values might be same, but since it's an integer and this is a string, the value is returned false. So and this not equal to is the exact opposite of this triple equal to. It'll check for both value and type. And then we have this logical operators. This and will check whether both the values should be true for this value to be true. This logical or, like for again, and this is logical not. But JavaScript operators kind of work kind of in a weird way here. If you can see here, like if you can see here, this a string. As I said before, string and this shows, and what can I say? String and integer is like it shows true, and zero means zero, and zero also means false value. It's kind of like a false value. So if equal zero and equal to false, it'll still say true because both are kind of converted. So zero is equal to an empty array. We'll talk about arrays later. So empty array, and that's also true. So but however, the string zero will be false. So it kind of weird though. If you want to learn more about this JavaScript operators, please try to check the MDN docs. The links will be available at the end. Then we have this conditionals. Yes, again similar to C++, we have if else and if else if. Now the if condition, if the condition must return a boolean value here, like a greater than b or a less than b, etc. And you have a set of statements. And again the same goes for if else. So if else also. if you have a value here, and if you have a condition here, and if the condition is true, you go for like statements here, or else you would go, or else if the condition is false, you go here. And then we have if else if here. So if the condition is true, if the condition is false, like, I mean, we have like, if you want to check for multiple conditions here, you could go with if else if. It's similar to C++ here. Now again, we come across another piece of code for the script to check voting eligibility. Simple. Again, you get an input from the user, and if the age is greater than 18, you display you're eligible to vote. But if the age is less than 18, then you are not eligible to vote. Again, we'll just try this code out. Yeah, again, I do have the ready-made piece of code here. Hmm, sorry. Yeah, one second. Good. So again, it's asking for my age. Assume okay. Now assume my age is like 53. Yeah, it's saying it's eligible to vote. But you can see it asks for input here. That's because instead of alert, I've given a prompt here. So that's why it's asking for an input. So change this to alert. I think now we are good to go. So if we enter age, for example, let me assume my age is 10, and it says sorry, you will not be eligible to vote. Simple, done. So that's another simple piece how conditions work here. Okay, so here the age is checked, and if this condition returns a true value, you this the body inside this evaluator, else this part is evaluated. Now let's go to loops. Now again simple. It again is similar to C++ here. Now there are three loops. One is the while loop. While loop kind of while loop is simple. You declare the condition, and until this condition is false, the body inside the loop will keep on executing. So this loop prints 1 to 10 in the console, and for loop also kind of does the same job here. So it's similar to C++. We throw this declaration here, we throw this condition here, and then we throw the initialization here, and only the main body is in the for loop. And we know about do while loop. So this do while loop body in the do while loop gets executed at least once. So this is the syntax. We initialize it and then do open braces whatever all the statements you want, and then close braces followed by while. Okay, now we'll start with the next script here. Now to print all even numbers between 1 and 10. So if 1 and n, where n is given by user, again, like get the input from the user and convert it into integers simultaneously. So we'll store that in a variable. So again, we iterate through it, and if it's divisible by z, if it's even, it must be divisible by 2, or else the remainder must be 0. So if I mod 2 is equal to 0, and then we print it, we display it. And then let's go to functions. Okay, we'll execute this part of the code here. Okay, so here's the code. Great. So here's the code, and let's take it though. So enter n, so 15. Okay, now you don't see any output here because the output is in the console.log. Here I think I've given console.log here. So it's in the console. So if you get right click and if you give inspect, you could see the content here. Let me just, yeah. You can console. You could see all the inputs between 1 and 15. You could see all the even numbers between 1 and 15. So this is so simple JS. I mean, loops work in simple JS code. JS. Now next, let's go to the functions. Um, Simple functions are a part of program which you could, what can I say? Functions are a part of program which executes a particular task, and you can do that whenever, and you can call a function to do something whenever you want. So again, similar to C++, we use the keyword function here. We use a function here. You don't specify in return text or something. Function, the function name, followed by open and close parenthesis, and open curly braces, and you say whatever command you mean, what do you want, whatever body you want, and then you close it. Simple. Now if you want to call the function, you will use this keyword called call me. That's all. So again, let's execute this. So we'll check it. Now I am declaring a function. I have to give a name here. Function , call me, alert, Now call me. I'm calling the function like this. So we have to like write this open close parenthesis and followed by a double quotes. Exactly. Now if you run this code here, see here, you can say the hi is displayed two times. That's because this function is called twice here. So again, also please notice that calling a function is different than declaring a function. So and whatever we did here, like whatever, what can I say, whatever I did in the script, whatever I did in the text editor, I can also do the same in this console. So I can define a function, call me please, and then on or alert, hello world. So that's a function. Now it is undefined because we have not evaluated anything. It's not a We have not evaluated anything that gives an answer. We have just declared something. So that's why it is undefined. So if I call me please and open close braces, then it calls the function. And one more thing, to call a function, you must explicitly use open and close curly braces. Other words, if you just give the name of the function, it just returns the description of the function here. So if I just give the name of the function, it won't call the function. Else, it will return what the function is, because it's kind of like a variable here. So if you enter the variable name, you get its value, right? It's kind of like that. So functions are also stored in variable, and that's what we are going to see the next method. So the on another an alternate method for declaring functions is you use the function keyword, but you take this call me the name of the function and declare it as a separate variable here. So again, the rest of the thing is same. So let call me is equal to function open close bracket console.log. I am a function too, and the end of statements. And again, you call it as call it what can I say? You call it as usual. Like you, there's no method. There's a difference in calling these two functions, but the method of declaring it is kind of different. Now, in the latest JavaScript, there's a cool way to introduce something. It's called as an arrow function. Now again, the first part is same. You initialize the variable here, but however, you you throw the function keyword. I mean, you throw this keyword function away, but and then you call open close parenthesis, and then you specify a equal to followed by a greater than symbol without any spaces here. So that means it the function takes any arguments that are specified in parentheses as arguments. We'll talk about what are arguments next. It takes an input and then performs the following body. So this is another way to call arrow functions. Now, yeah, now we'll talk about adding parameters and return values. So we can also pass some values to a function here. So if function add is equal to a comma b, so now you can unreturn a plus b. So what happens is it takes two values as input, and then it adds and it kind of returns the value here. So that's how it's similar to C++ again, but here you don't specify any return type and all. You need not specify. And here the same thing is performed with the array function. I mean arrow function. So let add is equal to bracket me a comma b. So when you say a comma b, like there again, in the you specify the arguments in the parenthesis followed by an arrow symbol, and then open and close braces. So, and one more thing is, so the arrow functions are cool in another way. Since you have, in this case, since you have only return keyword, return function, I mean return statement, nothing else, you could just chuck off these braces and write only the return value here directly. So that's what I did here. So let add is equal to bracket a comma b slash a plus b. So what this kind of like again, I'll demonstrate this. Now let add is equal to a comma b arrow mark, sorry, then a plus b. So that's the exact function definition. So now if I call add, sorry, x is equal to add 10 comma 12, 10 comma 15, I must get 25, and yes, as you see, the value of x is 25. So you can define the entire body of function in a line if you just have the return statement here. So that's how calls arrow function. And we are here. There are four examples. Here I have defined a function called pi. So pi does not take any argument but returns the value 3.14. So if you call pi like this, it returns 16. And we have square of x. So if square of x takes an argument and returns square, so square of 4 will return 16 here. Now here cube of x will just returns the cube similar to square, but here you could notice there is no parenthesis here, because if you are passing only one argument, you need not have any parenthesis. But please take care of the syntax. The syntax is more important here. Right. So next there's another small code for to calculate the volume of cone here. Now here we have this function. Let calculate volume of cone. Yeah, it's kind of a big name though, but still, it's I want the code must be the variables must be understandable. And please notice the writing style, the or the declarations, the names of the name style of the function here. The first letter of is cap. First letter is always small, and as you go along, the first letter of each word is capitalized. So we call this as the camel case. So this takes to the calculate when volume of a cone is pi 1/3 pi r square h, or okay, sorry, it's okay. Again, I'm sorry, I'm weak in math here, so I forgot all the formulas in my high school. So it takes radius and height, and it calculates the volume here, and then it returns the volume. So this is a simple function. Now to execute this piece of code here, um, yeah, to execute this piece of code here, you get input for radius and height, and then store it in variable, or you need not to. You can directly write this piece of code in place of r. But I have done this. I've written it for to make it more clear, and then I've stored in the variable in a constant, because why not? They are not going to change it anyway. But other you can use left, and then you can display the volume here. So that's all. So again, let's execute this piece of code here. Okay. Mm, Again, and one more thing, I forgot to change this. It's alert here, because we are not getting any input from user. So let's run this code, shall we? Now it asks for radius of the code, it's 5. Height of the code is 10. So the volume is 785. Done. So it's cool, right? So this is how basic functions work in JavaScript. Here you could see there are two functions, and the function is called here. Like you could notice the functions called with the user input. So let's go to strings. Now, strings, yeah, as we saw, string is something that we enclose in a backtick, a double quote, or a single quote. Now here I've declared a string variable here, string hello world. Now message dot length here. Notice there's no parenthesis here, just dot length. Okay, this is a property of a string. The length property of a string will return the length of the string. So in this case, there are 10 characters, so you'll return the length 10. And to access any character of a string, you have to use the subscript operator, like you square braces the index and the square braces, and you'll get 5. In this case, the indexes, it starts from 0, so 0 1 2 3 4 5. And then now one more thing you must note in the string is here you could notice that the message of phi is equal to k, so it's immutable. That means even if you replace this w with a k, I'm trying to replace the w with a k here, you will not change, like there will be no effect to this code. It's kind of immune. Now if I write message dot to uppercase, you'll return the value, in everything in the capitalized, and the same for lowercase. And then, like if you want to select an index of a substring, you will go for my hashtag 5. Like you'll pass substring here, and it'll give the index from where the substring starts. So in this case, it's from 5. So 0 1 2 3 4 5. So the substring world starts from here. So next we have concatenation. So if you use plus between two strings, it'll just join them together. Now, and one more thing here is, like we have like a string called Harry Potter, like he's a user, and like assume we are declaring another integer number variable 18. Now here we are declaring another new string. Here you could notice now how to hello good morning comma plus user. So it'll say good morning plus good morning Harry Potter. So Here more message again, like here you please notice this is something, a new feature is a cool feature in JavaScript here. Now first notice the strings are in backticks. When the strings are enclosed by backticks, you could use a dollar sign, open curly brace, and use the name of the variable here, and then close curly brace years old. So so this called a string template. This technique is called a string templating. So this is a technique to include a variable's value inside a string. So the output will be you are 18 years old. If it isn't for string templating, then you must use two plus symbols, plus symbol, concatenation symbol here. Like you must use one symbol here and then age, and then you must go for another symbol here. So this kind of makes the stuff more convenient. Now let's get good. Let's go to arrays. Now, when you talk about arrays, okay, I'll tell now. Arrays are something that arrays are used to store values. I mean, arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable. So let friends, you open a square brackets, like separate whatever values you want to store using commas, and then close bracket. So here's an array of strings here. Now these are characters of friends from the series Friends. Again, personally, Monica is my favorite. Yeah, she likes organizing stuff, and I like that too. So, anyways, there are six friends here. So now these are all called as elements of the array, and this is how you represent an array. Now to access an element of an array, you'll call like this friends of, like you pass the index. So since it's index 3, so index starts from 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3 here. So we'll get the value Joey. Now if you want to access all the array elements here, you can go like this. Let I is equal to 0. I is the friends length. Like strings, arrays also have a length property that will display the array. But however, please take care of the lesser than sign, because the index of the last value will be length minus 1. So the value, it starts from 0 and up to length minus 1. So this is one way to access all the array elements. And then one more thing, one more special feature in JavaScript arrays, you can store any kind of stuff here. So again, like I declare array called define array called random stuff. Where the first element is an integer, second element is string, third element is a floating point number, and fourth element is a boolean variable, like showing true. Now again, so random stuff of 0 gives 1, 2, 3, random stuff of 1 gives something, and random stuff of 1 of 2. Now this kind of change here, but if you notice, random stuff of 1 is a string, and if you want to get a character out of this, then you again use subscript this with another you use another set of square braces to get a particular character out of a string. So the random stuff of one part will give you a string, while this two will fetch you as with the specific character. Oh, now we'll start with this. We'll start with the. Now we also have the special for loop here. Now, this part is redundant. I explained this part, and but regarding this part, like for let elements and element console.log element. Now, if you can see here, what happens is that now let element. Now we have declared an what can I say? We have declared a, yeah, element. Now here in friends is an array, so this will iterate to each and every element in an array. Like this will iterate to each and element in the array and will display all this. So this loop is similar to that loop if you want to iterate to all the elements in the array. And there's one more cool array method here. Before I come to array methods, there's four more. Okay, now let's get back to some array methods here. So if you want to add an element in the end, so you use the push method. So friends dot push, and assume that you want Dr. Sheldon Cooper. He's also one of my favorite characters here. So Dr. Sheldon Cooper, if you want to push Dr. Sheldon Cooper to the friends list, I'll use the friends method. You'll go to the end of the list. So the new list will be like Monica, Rachel, Chandler, Joey, Phoebe, Ross, and Dr. Sheldon Cooper. And if you want to now assume that you don't want Sheldon Cooper to be in the list, and if you want to remove him, so you have to use friends.pop. So again, this what will do is this will remove Dr. Sheldon Cooper from the array, like from the end of the element. Now, if you want to add an element to the front of the array, then use unshipped. So if you feel Penny is your friend, and if you want to add it to the friend, you add like friends.unshipped gives Penny. You pass whatever element you want to store in the friend. So friends, now what happens is now the new friends list will be Penny, Monica, Rachel, Chandler, Joey, Phoebe, and Ross. And if you want to shift the element, if you want to, what can I say, if you want to remove the first element from the array, then you go for shift method. So shift method will remove penny and then will return this penny as a value here. So, and then friends also has an index of called index of, which will give an index of an element if it exists. So Chandler is the second element, like since indexing starts from 0, keep that in mind. So we have friends that index of Chandler, it will give you 2. So there's also one more nifty method of array that's actually really popular. So we have this something called as for each. So now what is simple? Now I have declared a friends array. Now the thing is friends dot for each. There's this method, like this inbuilt method. So friends dot for each. Now this requires a function here. So this, okay, I'll do a better case here. So I'll define a function do something. Now this takes 0 arguments at minimum or 3 arguments. I'll read in the first index. So element uh, index, right? And then inside the body, I'll just copy paste this. Okay. Yeah, good. So good here. So now I have created a function. I created a function that takes 3 arguments and then prints it. Prints it like now what I'm printing you will get in a few seconds. Now if I give friends dot for each, okay, and if I give do something, and if I close bracket, what happens is that this function will be called for each and every element in this array. So for each and every element in the array, this function will be called. And please keep in mind that here you are not calling the function. Instead, you are passing the function as an argument to the array. So if you take friends.for each, and now you must not call here. Instead, you must pass it as a function, because you are not calling the function, but this for each function is calling the function. So a function, this is the way to show that a function can call another function. So we call this as something called as callback function. So callback is a function that you pass an argument and that gets called in a different function. So that's one thing. So if you see here, what happens is that let's take the output here. Okay. Now, if you can see, the first element is Monica. The first is you're getting element Monica, index 0, and then the array. So what happens that since you pass 3 arguments, the first argument is always each and every time, I said before, each and every this function will get called for each and every element in the array. So first time, and each and every time the function calls, it passes the element. I mean, for the first case, it passes Monica, and then it passes the index of the element. So in the first case, it'll pass 0, and then it'll pass the entire array. So these 3 will get printed here. So again, the same thing happens again. So for Chandler, it'll pass Chandler 0, Chandler 1, and the array, and again Joey 2 array. So so that's what you see as an output here, and that's what you see as an output here. Again, let me expand it for you. Exactly. So you could see that as an output here. I'm sorry for the 1 second. I don't know whether, yeah. So you could see that as an output here. So you could see that the stuff gets printed here. So that's what for each method does. So now we'll go for objects. So now objects are kind of like weird thing here. So simple. Now like assume that you have multiple things about, what can I say? You have multiple variables and you want to, what can I say? You want to store them under a single name, or you want to relate to each other. Like, so we go for objects here. So to declare an object, you have to create a variable name. Let student or a name is equal to, and enclose the value as key value pairs. Like you have this is called as attribute and this is called as a value. This attribute is a value. Now attribute can be a suitable variable name, and Harry Potter, the value can be a string or a number or any data that you want to store. So this is how you actually create an object. And again, let me illustrate that in the console itself. Uh, Let student is equal to name Harry, comma. So this is how you store an object. So name, age, 25. So age is 20 is the number. It's 25 here. So again now if I give student, you get the entire object. Now if I give student not name, you get Harry. And if I give student and hyphen name, this is also valid syntax here. The student open bracket inside pass the value as a string. Again you get Harry. Student dot age, and if we have student dot marks, which does not exist, it'll return undefined. So what you can do, you can define it. Student dot mark is equal to 0, or like 8 is 76. Now if we check student, you can see the marks part getting updated. So this is how you create objects. You create a variable, and then you create a variable, and then you open close curly braces here and there. So this inside the curly brace, you place any value, you place a value as key value pair. So name and age and stuff. Exactly. So that's how you do it. So here you could see, here I created object here, name Harry Potter, age 14, marks 25.8, and yes, assume that here Harry Potter has Severus Snape as his professor, so he wanted to failed him. So again, even though how much marks he got, like he assumed that he has failed. So initially his marks is 25.8. Now if I give student not name, I'll get the Harry Potter's output. Again, this is an alternate syntax, as I shown you already. And for student dot marks, so student dot marks will give you, now here I'm changing the value from 25.8 to 97.3. Yeah, but here I'm not changing, and yeah, I'm accessing the value for student dot pass. It gives me the false. Now, one more advantage of an object is you can store an array inside an object here. So let student is equal to name Harry Potter, age 14, and here marks, instead of like assume that Harry Potter studies 3 subjects, and these are the individual marks of these subjects. So here you can actually store an store an array instead of a value. You can store anything here. Uh, and then when we have student marks and student dot marks of 1, now this is how we access a value inside an array. So student dot marks of 1, so student dot marks will give you this array, and here you use the indexing operator, like we use the open set of square braces here to give first element. 75. You can also do the opposite here. So if you want, you can store objects inside an array. So here this is how it does. So if you have like 3 students, so you open a square set of square braces, and then the first element is an object separated by a comma. So first element is name Harry Potter, marks 75.3, and name Hermione Granger, and she gets 100 because she's a know-it-all. And then we have Ron Weasley, and his mark is 69.8. So this, and if you want to get the name of the second student, you go like this: students of 2 dot name. So students of 2 students of 2 will correspond to this third object because indexing starts from 0, and dot name names will start to this attribute. Now if you want to get the marks of the first student, so student 1 dot marks, that's 100. So again, so 100. So that's how you can go. Now the students of one responds to Hermione Granger, Hermione, and she gets 100, of course. So that's how you access, and that's how you change a value of a particular object in an inside an array. An object can also hold another object. Assume that in this case, now these aren't discrete enough. These tells the marks of 3 subjects, but that's when, what can I say? It's not more descriptive. So if you want to be more descriptive, then you can go for uh no this I mean here I mean you can store an object inside another object. So let student is equal to name Harry Potter, age 14, marks is equal to what can I say, potions, dark arts, and transfiguration. Assume Harry Potter undergoes 3 courses. One is potions, dark arts, and transfiguration. So again, so you can store each and individual marks inside as a key value pass, and just wrap it around as another object, and then store it under names. So once again, so that's how you actually do it. And to access the value of one such object, if you want to access the marks of potions, again he got the lowest in potions because he got Severus Snape as his professor. What can we do? So again, let me student dot marks is equal to, again again, so portions I'll give 25, and DA difference against the dark arts, let me give it as 10. Okay, now if I give student, you could see, if you could expand it, you could see that it, you could see the marks has been stored here. Like you could see the output here, name, age, and marks is another object. It's showing it's in another object. Now, if I want a specific portions mark, student dot marks dot portions. So you consequently use this dot symbol again to get the data of the object here. So that's one thing. Now, this one more thing which this thing can do. I mean, one more thing that's actually really nifty in JavaScript: an object can also hold a function. I remember I said before that you can store function in a variable. So if the function is also kind of like a data, it's kind of data. It's just a simple steps what to do, and you can also store it as a key value pair in an object. So again, let's student name Harry Potter, mark 78. I have like entered each attribute or each property of the object in a new line for clarity purposes. Now calculate result. As you can see, it's a function. It's a function. There, it's a function to calculate result, like to result of the object. So now here, what it does is simple. If this dot marks is greater than 50, so if this refers to the object student here. So this dot marks refers to the mark 78. So this dot marks is greater than 50. Then set this dot pass to true. Then given you, if there's an attribute passed, then set it to true. If there is not an attribute passed, then leave it. Then create a new attribute and then assign the value to true. If the mark is less than 50, assign the passed attribute to false. Simple. So again, this another function, this is another attribute, display message. The display message just says has Harry Potter amazing. So you could call an method. We call the function inside an object as a method. So we can call student dot calculate result. So this calls the function inside the student object. So so in this case, the result would be, the function would be called, the function go here, and we'll check for this condition. Yes, this condition of course true. 78 is greater than 50, obviously. So you will get this dot pass is equal to true. So you'll have a you'll have a pass mark. I mean, the pass variable will be set, and if it's not true, then the value will be failed. Like I mean, for the pass attribute will be false. So, and student dot display message, this just displays in the console that Harry Potter is amazing. So again, let's check this and execute this. Yeah. So let's see here. Now simple. One second. Okay. So up to this, we have declared an object, we have declared names and marks, and this we have seen what does the calculate result does. Now we are going to modify this. So if student has passed, okay, now I'll alert the user. Alert. One second. Alert. Now this dot name has passed. Else, alert, this dot name has failed. Simple. So again, sorry, it's this here. So because we are referring to the current object here, so whenever you refer to a property inside an object, inside the current object, you must use this keyword here. Okay. So the function is actually simple, and then we'll try executing this and save it. Okay. So unfortunately, the set has failed. So wait. So that's how I think there's some error I might have forgotten to save here. So not sure why this error has come. But yeah, but you get the point, right? But you get the point. So this is how you actually call a function. That's how you actually do the function and do a method here. So now, so that's all object. And when we talk about JavaScript objects here, now we have to remember the fact that each and everything is an object. So each and everything is an object. So each and everything which you saw is strings, numbers, each and everything is an object. So dot length, like we saw that the dot length, like when you string dot length, the length property is actually a value as an attribute of the particular string object. So that's how you are like able to access the length when you type the dot here. So and one more thing to matter is like yeah, is JavaScript it doesn't care about the blank spaces. Like unlike Python, it doesn't care about indentations, new lines and stuff. Like it all just cares about the braces and parentheses. When you open it, you must close it properly. That's all. So now, if you want to check out more about JavaScript, here this is linked by MDN or Mozilla Developers Network. So this is kind of like a go-to guide for all novice and experienced users alike. Second, it's loading. So now this is a place where you can see the basics of JavaScript, and there's a lot of JavaScript. There are actually a lot of string methods. There are a lot of array methods and stuff. You could you could go through this. For example, let's say if you could start from here. For example, like you check for, or you could check some basic syntax and commands. So comments and yeah, you could check whatever stuff you want, like you evaluate variables here, like variables here. And yeah, there's a difference between var and let. Please refer to this please refer to this. And if, and you have a lot of content here, so you could go ahead, check Mozilla, MDN, uh, MDN website or Mozilla developer networks. So that's one thing. And one more professional tip I would like to give you while coding JavaScript is, okay, regarding errors, JavaScript is kind of annoying. It doesn't scream an error at you. So JavaScript is kind of harder to debug. As you can see, the errors won't be displayed explicitly. It'll be suddenly displayed on a console, and you have to open inspect element to find those errors. So it'll be kind of annoying. So if you're programming like a heavy JavaScript, please program underwater so that nobody could see you crying. At least I do that because I wash my face before I program in JavaScript, so that people mistake me for like washing my face. And but in the end, but even though JavaScript is more of a lightweight, or it no it might be annoying, but JavaScript is still cool because in 2000 just JavaScript existed. But now when you can see there are a lot of frameworks, and it's a lot of frameworks such as React, Angular and stuff, and it is also used heavily in backend, and it's really being becoming a popular language for backend. When I say backend, I mean in the server side. So to manage database connection, to store data and to retrieve data, and to display the user, to process all the service and transactions, JavaScript is becoming highly popular, and you can see a wide support and this wide support and wide support everywhere. And JavaScript is really flexible because it has been it's a really early language, and it's cool in a way. It's really lightweight, and I hope you enjoy using it. So again, thank you very much for for your kind attention like for the session. And if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask in the YouTube, ask in the chat window, or like ask us in the Discord channel. And thank you for your kind attention here again once again. So if you have any doubts, if there are any doubts people like to ask, so feel free to go ahead. Like one of my friends are there to like listen to comments and help me here. Pashini, are there any comments in the YouTube that yeah. So hi and yeah. So please don't hesitate to like, share, subscribe our community channel, and please there is also we also have a Discord server like as we saw in the session yesterday, the Git session yesterday. So please feel free to discuss or talk about what you learned today, and there's more in store for all the future sessions. So thank you. Anna, I think we can stop now. I think we can stop the session now.